The human ear isn't built to hear everything that moves beneath the earth. Most sounds are swallowed by air, absorbed by soil, or lost in the endless hum of modern life. But in 1972, America heard something it was never meant to hear. A low, vibrating, bone-deep sound that rolled across multiple states like an invisible wave. It was not an earthquake, not thunder, not machinery. It was something else. Something ancient, something consistent, something impossibly precise. It became known as the hum. It began on a quiet April evening in northern New Mexico, when residents reported a deep, metallic moan echoing under the ground. Some heard it as a low rumble, others as a vibration inside their skulls. Pets reacted first, dogs whining, cats hiding, livestock panicking. Within hours, the same sound was reported in Arizona, Colorado, Oklahoma, Kansas, and even southern Nebraska. The reports came in like clockwork, not random, not sporadic, but in a straight horizontal line, as if the sound were traveling through the earth itself. The government dismissed the claims as acoustic illusions, but then the pattern repeated, exactly 1 year later, on the exact same night, at the exact same time. This is when the United States quietly launched Operation Echo, a classified investigation involving geologists, acoustic engineers, military agents, and seismic analysts. Their mission was simple: identify the source of the hum. What they found was not simple at all. Their early instruments recorded the hum at 17 hertz, far below normal human hearing, but still strong enough to vibrate windows, shake loose soil, and cause headaches among sensitive listeners. The wave was too consistent to be natural. It moved in pulses, long, slow, rhythmic pulses, almost like Morse code written in sound. Residents said it felt alive, like something breathing beneath the earth. Operation Echo sent teams to dozens of rural towns. They installed underground sensors, buried microphones, and deployed mobile listening units disguised as utility vans. These sensors revealed that the hum wasn't spreading across the surface. It was originating from deep underground, at depths no human machinery had ever reached. The wave was too steady, too precise, and too synchronized to be geological. Something down there was generating it, and whatever it was, it followed a schedule. For the first 10 years, the hum came every April. Same day, same minute, same frequency. It rattled homes, upset animals, caused nausea, confusion, migraines, and insomnia in thousands of people. But the strangest part wasn't the physical sensation. It was the emotional one. People reported feeling watched, as if something beneath them was aware, as if the sound wasn't a noise, but a signal. Geologists tried explaining it as thermal expansion of underground rock layers. Meteorologists suggested atmospheric pressure anomalies. Engineers blamed aging pipelines, industrial machinery, or military testing. But every theory collapsed when data revealed the sound traveled across states in a perfectly straight route, ignoring mountains, rivers, soil types, or man-made structures. Natural phenomena don't move like that. Signals do. In 1982, Operation Echo made its first breakthrough. A team in Utah triangulated the hum's origin to a remote region deep within a canyon, an area without towns, roads, or industry. The sound was strongest near a rock formation known to local tribes as the Sleeping Gate. According to tribal folklore, the gate was a place where the ground speaks in its dreams. Operation Echo drilled into the ground near the formation. At 600 feet, they encountered an unexpected void, an underground hollow space stretching for miles. The air inside was warmer than the surrounding rock. A faint echo emanated from the chamber, perfectly matching the hum. But when they lowered a microphone into the void, they picked up something terrifying. The hum wasn't just a single tone. It contained layers, frequencies stacked like chords, forming a harmonic sequence intentionally structured, a pattern that repeated every 7 minutes. It wasn't random. It wasn't geological. It was engineered. And at the end of each 7-minute sequence, the hum dipped into a frequency that sensors labeled non-terrestrial. This discovery was sealed immediately. Operation Echo was expanded. Budgets were doubled. Teams were sworn to silence. Satellite time was secretly allocated to scan the region. The government did not release their findings. But the hum kept coming. Every April, every year, every time, until something changed. In 1997, for the first time in 25 years, the hum arrived early, a full week before its usual date. The pattern broke. The sound surged stronger than ever, powerful enough to shake cameras off shelves, flicker streetlights, and send thousands of emergency calls to local authorities. In multiple states, animals fled their barns and fields. Cattle stampeded. Sheep refused to move. Birds abandoned entire forests. Operation Echo deployed their teams immediately. They tracked the hum to the same underground void. But now, the void was larger. The thermal readings were higher. The harmonic pulses had doubled in strength. Something was changing underground. The hum lasted for 18 minutes, 3 times longer than normal. Then, it stopped abruptly. Total silence, as if someone flipped a switch. And for the first time in its existence, Operation Echo reported a second anomaly, occurring exactly 11 minutes after the hum stopped. A deep knock from beneath the earth. One single strike, loud enough to register on seismic instruments across 4 states. Like something answering, like something reacting, like something waking. After this, the government doubled the secrecy around Operation Echo. The official explanation blamed pipelines, mining operations, and atmospheric interference. But the public wasn't fooled. Thousands heard it. And then, in the year 2000, something even more disturbing happened. The hum changed locations entirely. Instead of starting in New Mexico, it began in Oregon, over 2,200 miles away. The same hum, the same frequency, the same pattern. But a new origin point, as if something underground was moving, traveling, shifting, searching. The Operation Echo team realized the truth. The hum wasn't a local phenomenon. It was a continental phenomenon. There wasn't one underground void. There were many, connected like a network that hummed, a network growing louder, a network waking up. When the hum shifted from New Mexico to Oregon in the year 2000, the Pentagon realized something terrifying. They were not dealing with a stationary source. The sound was not anchored to a single geological point. It was traveling, moving through the earth like a slow, conscious wave. No natural phenomenon behaves this way. Earthquakes don't relocate. Rivers don't migrate beneath the bedrock. Weather doesn't resonate underground across multiple states. But whatever produced the hum did. The sudden change of location triggered the largest expansion of Operation Echo in its history. Every listening station west of the Rockies was activated. Underground sensors were buried in hundreds of miles of forest, canyon, desert, and farmland. Entire satellite clusters were repurposed for low-frequency monitoring. Signals intelligence analysts, used to tracking foreign militaries, were reassigned to study an invisible sound coming from beneath the United States. This is when Operation Echo made its most important discovery. The hum was not a sound. It was a movement. A slow, rhythmic displacement of deep Earth structure that produced frequency waves. Something enormous was shifting beneath the crust, so large that the movement itself resonated across multiple states like a vibrating bell. The hum was the echo of that movement, and whatever was moving was migrating north. The first underground imaging operation began in 2001. The goal was simple: map the Earth's crust beneath the regions affected by the hum. High-powered seismic waves were fired into the ground, bouncing back data that allowed analysts to construct a 3-dimensional model of the deeper layers. They expected to find pockets of gas, cavern systems, fault lines, or magma flows. They found none. Instead, they discovered something that had no explanation in geology: a void. A hollow structure stretching nearly 40 miles long and descending deeper than any natural cavern ever recorded. The void was so perfectly symmetrical that it looked engineered: smooth walls, evenly curved, consistent density. And in the very center of the void, seismic data revealed an object, a structure, a shape, nearly the size of a skyscraper, but buried beneath hundreds of meters of rock. The object emitted a faint harmonic resonance, and that resonance matched the hum. Operation Echo had found the first physical evidence. Something massive was embedded in the earth. Something dense, something ancient, something not created by nature. The seismic model showed a long, cylindrical formation, round at the ends, thick in the middle, like a gigantic buried capsule. Analysts called it the deep cylinder. The Pentagon called it something else: the buried traveler. The name came from what happened next. In 2003, the hum did not occur on April 17th as usual. Instead, it arrived 2 weeks early, and when it did, the seismic imaging picked up something nightmarish. The deep cylinder had changed position. It had shifted nearly 300 feet north. This was not tectonic drift. This was not collapse. This was movement: slow, deliberate, directional movement. And the hum matched the movement perfectly, like a whale calling as it rises toward the surface. Operation Echo panicked. The Silent Directorate intervened. The Pentagon classified all seismic data from that year. But the truth was impossible to ignore. The buried traveler was not a chamber, not a cavern, not a void. It was an object capable of self-movement. In 2004, the U.S. secretly created the Deep Array, a series of listening posts buried across 6 states. Their purpose: track the traveler's path. Within months, they discovered something even more disturbing. The traveler wasn't alone. Seismic imaging detected 3 more voids, each one smaller, but each one following the same general migration path. Like a formation, like a group. The Pentagon called them Echo 2, Echo 3, Echo 4, and the original, largest one, Echo 1. The hum was no longer a mystery. It was communication. The 4 objects hummed in patterns, calling to each other through miles of stone. Their harmonics aligned into sequences, sometimes synchronized, sometimes layered, sometimes overlapping. Analysts noticed they behaved like the clicking patterns of deep-sea creatures or the long-distance sonar calls of whales. This led to a horrifying possibility. These were not machines, not relics, not geological anomalies. They were entities, or parts of an entity, communicating, coordinating, or preparing for something. In 2006, the 4 Echo objects converged beneath central Idaho. When they came within seismic range of each other, the hum reached the loudest level ever recorded, radiating across 7 states. People reported headaches, nausea, and vivid nightmares. Pets refused to sleep indoors. Car alarms triggered randomly. Drones malfunctioned. And then, something unprecedented happened. All 4 hums aligned into a single tone. One single unified frequency, deep enough to shake the ground and long enough to register as a continuous wave on every underground sensor in the United States. In that moment, seismic imaging captured the impossible. All 4 Echo objects rotated. Not shifted, rotated. Rotated as if turning toward something, as if aiming, as if listening. Operation Echo analysts realized the rotation was not random. It matched the direction of Site 0, the exact location discovered in your previous topic. The network was bigger than anyone imagined. The hums were not random. The movement was not random. The 40-year event was not random. Everything pointed to one thing. The echo objects were moving towards something buried beneath Site Zero. For decades, the government tracked the echo objects from a distance, terrified to interact with them directly. They were too large, too deep, too ancient, and too unknown to approach without risking something catastrophic. But by 2006, after all 4 echo objects rotated toward Site Zero, the U.S. faced a new fear. What if the objects were converging? What if they were headed toward something buried beneath Nevada? And worst of all, what if they were not waiting, but returning? The Silent Directorate ordered an immediate expansion of underground imaging, deeper seismic tests, enhanced resonance mapping, and ultra-low-frequency scans. Operation Echo was no longer a study. It had become a containment emergency. But the objects did not slow. They did not stop. They did not hesitate. Between 2006 and 2009, Echo 2, Echo 3, and Echo 4 accelerated. Each object shifted nearly an entire mile north, far faster than any known geological movement on Earth. The Pentagon was forced to consider something they had never believed possible. The Echo objects were intentionally traveling toward the Echo 1 core, and every move they made created that same low-frequency hum, a long, rolling vibration through bedrock, like a voice speaking from beneath the world. But in 2010, for the first time in its history, Operation Echo attempted something unthinkable. They tried to intercept one of the objects. The Idaho Project. Deep in central Idaho, where Echo 3 passed closest to the surface, a team of military geologists and classified contractors were sent to drill directly into the resonant zone. Their goal was not to damage the object, it would be impossible, but to lower a microcamera and obtain visual confirmation of what Echo 3 actually was. It took 3 months to drill. But midway through the operation, the drill bit hit something that changed everything: silence. The hum, constant for decades, went dead. Every underground sensor in the radius flatlined. Dogs stopped barking. Insects went silent. The ground held its breath. Operation Echo analysts panicked. The Echo objects had never gone silent before. The team continued drilling deeper, dropping sensors into the borehole. At around 780 meters down, the camera reached the edge of a dark, hollow space. For a moment, the feed was nothing but black, featureless, empty, still. Then the camera shifted, and the shape came into view. Not a stone surface, not a metal plate. A curved wall, smooth, seamless, dark, with a faint reflective sheen, like polished obsidian, or the scaled hide of something organic. The surface pulsed, just once. A slow inward contraction, like the wall taking a breath. The entire borehole vibrated violently. The camera feed flickered, distorted, and then the hum blasted back, louder than ever. Sensors exploded from the ground, seismic instruments overloaded. The drilling rig tipped sideways. The team evacuated, but 3 operators collapsed on site, bleeding from their ears. The hum that returned was different. It wasn't the usual low resonance, it was layered. Deep, mid, high, harmonics stacked like a chord. A sequence, a message. When analysts ran the hum through harmonic translation software, the sequence repeated with mathematical precision. A rising pattern, then a peak, then a descending response, like a call and answer. The terrifying conclusion: the drilling attempt did not contact Echo 3. It woke it. And Echo 3 was calling to Echo 1 beneath Nevada. But the most horrifying part came when they analyzed the seismic data from that moment. Echo 3 reacted. And then Echo 1 reacted too. Not with movement, not with sound, with a pulse. A single deep pulse that rippled up through the Nevada bedrock and into the surface sensors. This was not a hum. This was a heartbeat, a deliberate, measured response. As if Echo 1 had answered Echo 3's call. The decision to open Echo 1. After the drilling disaster, the Silent Directorate realized the truth. They could no longer avoid direct contact. They needed to access the original object, Echo 1, before all four Echo entities converged. Echo 1 was located deeper than any modern drill could reach. But older Site 0 tunnels still existed, abandoned, sealed, buried for decades under layers of rock, security lockdowns, and false terrain overlays on GPS. For the first time since the 1970s, the government authorized opening Site 0's lower chamber to reach Echo 1's outer shell. A special strike team was assembled: elite scientists, geologists, deep terrain engineers, and classified military personnel. Their mission: enter Site 0, reach the buried Echo 1 sphere, scan its surface, determine whether it is alive or awakening. Entry into Site 0. In 2011, the first humans in 35 years descended into the forbidden tunnels beneath Nevada. Most of the original infrastructure was intact: rusted doors, abandoned labs, metal catwalks, concrete barriers. But the deepest levels were different: warmer, darker, and vibrating faintly. The team approached the sealed titanium door to the Echo 1 chamber. The closer they moved, the louder the hum became, no longer a subtle background vibration, but a heavy resonance inside their bones. When the door opened, they saw it: the original buried traveler. Echo 1, a colossal, curved surface disappearing into darkness, glowing faintly with a cold blue light that pulsed every 11 seconds, just like a heartbeat. But then something happened that no one expected. When the team approached within 20 feet, the hum changed instantly, as if aware of them. The tone shifted: higher, focused, directed, and the chamber lights flickered. The scientists froze. The military raised weapons instinctively. Then, the smooth surface of Echo 1 rippled, a subtle, wave-like distortion, like something beneath the surface pressed outward, and then withdrew. The object pulsed again, brighter this time, and then something appeared. Something the cameras recorded clearly: a mark, a symbol, a shape on the sphere's surface, a symbol that had appeared in every underground hum recording for 40 years. The symbol wasn't random. It was a pattern. The same one found in the underground void in Part 1. The same one Catherine Morrow found in the Forbidden Map. The same one engraved in the ancient chamber walls beneath Nevada. A 30,000-year-old geometric sigil. And underneath it, a new pulse emerged. 4 beats, 1 long, 3 short. The exact number of echo objects approaching Echo 1. Echo 1 wasn't alone. It wasn't drifting. It wasn't sleeping. It was calling its missing parts home. Echo 1's surface symbol pulsed with a rhythm no scientist could explain. The chamber vibrated so deeply that dust fell from the ceiling, and every piece of equipment inside the room, cameras, computers, seismic scanners, displayed the same synchronized frequency pattern. For the first time in human history, Echo 1 was communicating openly, no longer hiding behind layers of bedrock and low-frequency distortions. Inside the control room at Site 0, analysts watched in terror as the pulse translated into a harmonic signature, a mathematical sequence repeating in perfect intervals. The team had been studying echo waveforms for decades, but this was different. Echo 1 was not simply responding to Echo 3's attempted intrusion. It was broadcasting a summoning command. And the worst part? The command was not directed to the United States. It was directed to the other 3 echo objects. Echo 1 was calling Echo 2, Echo 3, and Echo 4 toward Nevada. The Silent Directorate issued the most severe internal alert in its history: containment breach, harmonic convergence. This meant only one thing: the echo objects were preparing to converge into a single formation. A formation no one on the surface understood. A formation older than every American city, every government, every nation. A formation meant for something. Something the U.S. feared more than war, collapse, or invasion. The sudden movement. Within days of Echo 1's activation, seismic sensors across Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, and Oregon recorded drastic movement underground. The Echo objects were accelerating at a speed never before observed, no longer drifting inches per year, but feet per hour. The migration path was impossible to misinterpret. All three objects, Echo 2, Echo 3, Echo 4, were moving directly toward Echo 1 beneath. Nevada. Operation Echo now entered full crisis mode. The Pentagon demanded predictive models. The Directorate demanded containment strategies. Geophysicists demanded more data. But the one question none of them could answer was the only one that mattered. What would happen when all four Echo objects reunited beneath the surface? Operation Echo, the final scan. A final, desperate measure was approved. A full spectrum harmonic scan of Echo 1. No one had ever attempted it. The technology barely existed. The risks were catastrophic. Scanning a resonant structure could trigger a pulse that would damage infrastructure across multiple states. But the silent Directorate authorized it anyway. The scan began at dawn. A series of ultra-low frequency bursts were fired into the ground, aimed directly at the core of Echo 1. Each burst lasted 7 seconds, then paused for 5. At first, nothing happened. The chamber remained silent, except for the steady pulse of Echo 1. Then Echo 1 answered. Not with hum, not with heat, not with movement, with sound. A new sound. Higher, sharper, layered with harmonics that rippled through the bedrock like a scream beneath the earth. Scientists watching the instruments panicked. The sound was too complex, too structured, too deliberate to be geological. When processed through spectral analysis, the waveform revealed something horrifying, a voice-like pattern within the frequency. A repeating sequence that resembled primitive language. Not human, not animal. Something else. The sequence translated to 3 symbols. Unseal. Prepare. Return. The chamber lights flickered violently. A shockwave rippled through the tunnel. Even the thick concrete walls vibrated like paper. But the most terrifying reaction didn't come from Echo 1. It came from Echo 2, Echo 3, and Echo 4. All 3 objects increased their speed at once. They stopped drifting. They began directly accelerating, each one changing course to align with the harmonic signal emitted by Echo 1. This meant the one thing Operation Echo feared for decades was finally happening: harmonic convergence. All 4 Echo entities were now on a trajectory to unite beneath Nevada. Government panic. A secret meeting was held inside Raven Rock. Every member of the Silent Directorate was present. For the first time in 30 years, the president joined in person. The room was silent as seismic data streamed across the screens, each showing the same horrifying truth. The Echo objects would reach the Nevada convergence point within 7 months. The Directorate proposed extreme measures: detonating nuclear charges underground, collapsing the tunnels around Nevada, drilling explosive boreholes to redirect the Echo objects, flooding the voids with supercooled liquid nitrogen, or even constructing magnetic fields to repel the objects. Every option was dismissed. Nuclear explosions might awaken Echo 1. Collapse attempts might accelerate the objects. Magnetic fields might strengthen the hum. There was only one option left. We must understand what they are. Breaching the surface of Echo 1. A team of specialized engineers was ordered to breach the outer layer of Echo 1. This wasn't drilling. It was micro-cutting with diamond lasers, a slow and dangerous process that risked triggering a reaction. The first laser beam touched the surface. Instantly, the chamber shook. The hum spiked to its highest level ever recorded. A shockwave burst outward, knocking 2 operators unconscious. But something else happened too. The lasers left a mark, a thin, shallow wound. For the first time, humans had penetrated the outer shell. Inside that wound wasn't metal, Wasn't rock, wasn't polymer. It was tissue. Living tissue, organic, warm, regenerating slowly. Echo 1 wasn't a machine. It wasn't a relic. It wasn't a structure. It was alive. For 40 years, America had been listening to the heartbeat of something sleeping beneath its soil, something larger than skyscrapers, older than civilizations, and powerful enough to shake entire states, something calling its missing parts home. The Directorate now understood the truth. Echo 1 was a being. Echo 2, 3, and 4 were fragments of it. And convergence wasn't an accident. It was a return, a reassembly. Part 4 ends here. Part 5 will reveal the final secret, what Echo 1 is, when the convergence event began, and why the hum suddenly stopped after 40 years. For 40 years, the United States had listened to something alive beneath its soil. A heartbeat, a voice, a call. The hum had become part of the land itself, a quiet, invisible presence stretching across multiple states, hidden from the public, feared by the government, and documented only in the darkest vaults of the silent Directorate. But nothing terrified the U.S. more than the moment they realized Echo 1 was alive. A living being, buried, dormant, waiting. And Echo 2, Echo 3, and Echo 4 were not separate anomalies. They were pieces, fragments of a larger entity, migrating slowly across the continent through deep earth channels, moving toward their core like drifting organs seeking a body. The convergence was no longer a theory. It was underway. The silent Directorate calculated that all 4 echoes would unite beneath Nevada in a matter of months. They feared the moment of reassembly could trigger something catastrophic. A massive harmonic burst, a geological upheaval, or the awakening of an ancient organism buried long before humanity existed. But then, something unexpected happened. Before the echoes could reach their convergence point, the hum stopped. After 40 years of rhythmic, predictable pulses, the deep earth vibration that shaped the entire Operation Echo investigation suddenly vanished. No warnings, no tremors, no low-frequency waves rolling through states. For the first time since 1972, the sensors went completely silent. At first, scientists thought the instruments malfunctioned, but redundant stations, backup arrays, and analog devices all showed the same result: absolute silence beneath America. To the government, this was not reassuring. It was horrifying, because silence did not mean safety. Silence meant completion. The Directorate feared the silence was the final stage, the moment the echo entities stopped calling because the convergence process had begun. In panic, the U.S. ordered the deepest seismic scan ever conducted. Massive resonance pulses were fired across the Southwest, mapping the underground layers with unprecedented resolution. The goal was to locate the echo objects, determine their distance from Site 0, and calculate how much time remained. The scan results shattered everything Operation Echo believed. Echo 2, Echo 3, and Echo 4 were gone. They were not destroyed. They were not stuck. They were not drifting. They had disappeared from the seismic grid completely. Only Echo 1 remained beneath Nevada. And even that signature was changing. The dense, massive reading that once identified Echo 1's presence had transformed into something else. Something more distributed, more expanded, as if its internal structure was spreading into the surrounding bedrock. This led to one chilling conclusion. Echo 1 had absorbed the other 3. The convergence had already happened. But how? How did the fragments travel hundreds of miles in weeks when they moved only inches per year before? The answer came from the harmonic recordings left behind. After the cessation of the hum, analysts replayed the final recorded sequence. Hidden deep inside the waveform, almost too faint to notice, was a frequency shift that indicated something long suspected but never proven. The echo objects were not moving through soil. They were moving through space within the soil. A network of hollow channels, natural or engineered, connected beneath America. A lattice of deep Earth structures older than modern continents, possibly older than life itself. A network that allowed the echo entities to travel quickly when activated, like blood rushing through awakened veins. And all pathways led to Nevada. The convergence was not happening. The convergence had already happened. The silent directorate rushed to reopen Site Zero. The team descended into the tunnels with weapons, scanners, and thermal imaging gear, expecting to find Echo 1 larger, louder, or in some active state. But what they found inside the chamber was far more terrifying. Echo 1 was gone. Not destroyed, not exploded, not broken. Gone. Vanished completely from a chamber large enough to hold entire buildings. The team searched the walls for cracks, tunnels, exits, or signs of collapse. There were none. The chamber was intact, undamaged, silent. Only one thing had changed. The floor was warm. Very warm. As if something massive had been resting there, moments earlier. They expanded the search radius. Thermal scanners swept the underground layers. Magnetic sensors scanned the bedrock. Seismic pulses mapped the deeper tunnels. The results were impossible. Echo 1 had not moved upward, downward, or sideways. It had moved inward. Not deeper, but into a region of Earth with no measurable coordinates. A pocket of reality beneath the crust where seismic waves collapsed, resonance signals vanished, and electromagnetic fields distorted. The term used in the classified report was substratum fold. A fold in the Earth. A hidden layer beneath geology. A place not meant for the surface world. For decades, Echo 1 had been knocking from the other side. The hum was not a threat. The hum was not a warning. The hum was not communication. It was a doorway test, checking the stability of the fold. And when the convergence completed, the fold opened. Echo 1 slipped through. The hum stopped because Echo 1 no longer needed to call. Its fragments were reunited. Its path was complete. Its destination was reached. The government did not celebrate. They feared the silence more than the hum. Because if Echo 1 left, then where did it go? What lies beneath the fold? What else might be down there? And the question none of them wanted to consider. Would it come back? The silent directorate sealed Site Zero permanently, not to contain Echo 1, but to prevent humanity from going after it. The final Operation Echo report ends with one chilling line. It was never coming toward us. It was going home. And the reason the hum stopped after 40 years? Because whatever lived beneath America is no longer beneath America. The silence is not peace. The silence is absence. Absence and waiting.